Welcome to the 10th season of the Gridiron, sponsored by Rothman Group. I'm your host, John Brown, with the head coach, Chad Brubaker. Coach, welcome back here, 10th season here, coming up here.
I feel like I owe you a gift.
I think there's some sort of gift for 10 years of that.
Yeah.
And we got to be getting close to, we were just talking about 100 episodes of this thing, right?
How many did Seinfeld run?
Way more than I think
Way
that
more
we've
than
had for
100?
this
Oh.
right here. How many? The real question is, we could poll people out there, like, who do you think out there has seen the most episodes of the Gridiron, right?
I don't know.
They'd have to go back in time right there.
Someone with a lot of time on their hands.
A lot of time in the hands. Big fan of Springfield football. Well, welcome back here. Hopefully you had a good
Thanks.
summer.
Yeah, you too.
Well, let's get right into things right here. How was the offseason for the Rams football team?
Pretty good. You know, we're satisfied with, how our players attended the weight room and attended other things that we have for them. It's tough because there's a lot of things going on these days, and it takes a lot of dedication in football, more so than ever. And so you have a lot of things pulling at them, and we're pretty happy with our returning players, especially, and how they have embraced the offseason.
And the offseason's changed a little bit too, especially actually when PIAA football starts back up. You were back here on August 5th. Does that sound about right?
Whatever that Monday was, yeah.
Like, I think the rest of fall sports started the 12th, but you were in a week earlier, and you only have one scrimmage before the first game. There's some changes for the past couple years, but make sure everybody knows what's going on with your time schedule with actual PIAA football.
And we're actually ahead of where we were when we used to have two scrimmages, just because we're prepped for it. So we know we have to come in. A lot of the mental stuff has to be taken care of. The tough part is always, okay, so player A and player B are relatively equal. We need to see them in game action to see who's going to react better in those types of situations, thinking on their feet and being physical and able to play, in a varsity game. So those parts are tough because we don't hit very much in practice. In fact, we never take anybody to the ground in practice. So it becomes difficult from that angle. So these opening games are tough. You never know, you think you know, you hope you know, but in the back of your head, you don't completely know.
And I think with that, you've seen that for the past couple of years, is that first week, you thought you saw something in preseason, you got to make some changes. You got to be able to adjust on the fly here too.
Right, absolutely.
And talking about adjusting here, so one of the new things that's going to be a part of this school district here real soon to open up is going to be the new weight room facilities. I knew the new hallway looks open here in the front of the building, but I know you've been big in the building and being a part of it, showing pictures. Where's that weight room? How's it looking there?
So I've been told that it should be finished by the end of this week.
Okay.
There is most of the flooring, or some of the, I shouldn't say most of the flooring, some of the flooring's down, some of the equipment is in there, but really until there's been some logistical issues with the flooring and the equipment and who's doing what when and that kind of thing. It was supposed to be done on July 28th. We know that generally construction projects run over time, but it's going to be a beautiful facility.
It looks fantastic. For
9,500 square feet about, and we can't wait to meet whoever the school district hires as a new strength coach. It's just going to be, it can be a game changer, not only for football, it's for the whole school district.
For athletics, yeah.
And for the general population.
Yeah.
So, we've been operating under tight quarters for 9 years, and it'll be the first time that we can ever have the whole football team in the room at the same time, which will be something nice too. So it should cut down on time. It will definitely cut down on switching people here and there. We've had to adjust our workouts tremendously because of the lack of equipment. So X amount of kids would have to be over here, X amount of kids would have to be over here. It's very difficult to keep an eye on everybody in those situations. But
all right, so that's one new thing that we're going to see here in the district. I'm sure they'll have some sort of update tonight at the school board meeting. I'm sure they're going to talk about the new construction here, because not only that, you have the new hallway, you have the new arts programs there too. So it's a whole new building the kids are going to come back to here in another week.
Definitely.
All right, so one other thing out there before we take our first break is we obviously want to talk about the schedule and this team here and who you're going to play this year. You're going to play your 5 packed games no matter what in your division.
Right.
Week 10's built in as the crossover game.
Correct.
Win a division, you play the other. Who are we going to see non-league this year for the Rams? Is it going to be a similar taste of teams we've seen in the past?
Well, we play Central Bucks South again, which we played them last year. We play Harry Truman, which we did not play. We have not played in the past. And then we have Wilson and Exeter as our third and fourth games.
And we've seen Wilson, Exeter on the schedule for a while. I guess the real question is, I know you guys look ahead a lot here. In 2020, are we going to see these kind of same non-league teams in the 2020 season too?
No, Exeter and Wilson both chose to drop us for the coming years. Now, Exeter was very upfront with that, told us right off the bat, hey, we're just not going to pick you up anymore. Wilson actually, all of a sudden we see a tweet and their blogger, whatever, is saying that we dropped Wilson, which at the time, that was back in November.
After the 2018 season.
Yeah, well, I think it was still going on, but
Okay.
we said, no, that is not true. We would love to continue playing Wilson. And it was also mentioned at that time that the reason for that was because my son is now a sophomore on Wilson's team.
He's on the team, yep.
And so I had a conversation with Coach Doms, quite honestly, an animated conversation on my part. As a football coach, I make football decisions for Spring Forward, and I'm my son's father, and he, for him and me and his mother make parental decisions. So Coach Doms makes football decisions, and I thought we were very clear on, hey, if you don't want to play us anymore, go ahead, you make a football decision, but don't make it about my son. And so I've thought at the end of that phone conversation, we were very clear. And, for the record, I disagree with a lot of the comments made as excuses. It basically is questioning my integrity, basically questioning my son's integrity.
Wow, okay.
And, saying that he's put in the middle. No, he's not put in the middle of it. My son and I have had a lot of conversations about that. I actually spoke to Hank Coyne Sr. Hank Coyne Jr. was our quarterback my first 3 years at Spring Forward. And we never had a problem. It was, we were aware that, obviously that Hank Coyne Sr.
was another coaching staff,
coach for OJ.
Yep.
And had conversations with him about it, how do you deal with it at home? I actually called him up this offseason and asked him, hey, I'm looking at this and, what kind of, do you have any advice, for me or whatever? And he said it was a very positive thing. And he said, it was kind of funny. They both knew that each other they were trying to win, but obviously above board. There wasn't any, rooting through Hank Jr.'s, under his bed looking for game plans or nonsense like that. But
and I would say there's probably only 1 week of the whole year where there's some sort of when we go back to Hank and his dad, there was 1 week where they were kind of maybe a little bit more.
And they loved it. They loved
exactly. And that kind of makes it a little bit of a, so keep
going.
So
on this phone conversation with Coach Doms, I was very clear that, if you want to drop us, feel free to drop us, but it will not be about my son and you will not talk about it publicly. I don't know how I could have been any more clear. And in the past week, people send stuff to me. I don't ask for it.
But you get it.
People, hey, watch video start at 30 minutes in, blah, blah, blah. So I got a video sent to me or a link and it was mentioned again. And it really, really bothers me. I don't understand it. For the record, 2 things. I still don't understand. It's an antiquated way of thinking on their part. It's nonsense. And ultimately, what was mentioned on the show was that, well, if Gannon had a question about a read progression, he wouldn't be able to come to me to talk about it. Now, let me just tell you how antiquated that notion is. If a PV quarterback would come to me in a certain situation and ask me, hey, how do you guys do A, B, and C? I would sit down and I would tell that kid how to do A, B, and C. And here's what we think. Now, go back to your coach and make sure you're doing it the way they want you to do it.
Yeah.
But how antiquated is that notion that I wouldn't help my own son? And what does that have to do with a Friday night? I don't know when they're going to call a certain play. They know us and here's the thing, Gannon knows most of our players. He's been hanging around our program for years. Years. He knows all of our players. So if anybody would have That is so antiquated and so like it's a joke. It's nonsense. So ultimately, obviously, it could be about something else. You know what we did. Like I said, Exeter handled it. You know when we found out that Wilson officially dropped us?
I know. I love
Through Twitter.
That was the
through Twitter. That's when we found out. No call from their AD, no call from anybody. That's when we found out. And then that put us behind the 8 ball trying to find new games.
Now,
here's the deal.
Who we got in 2020
right.
now?
Here's the deal. We went out and replaced, like I said, Exeter was very forthcoming. We went out and replaced Wilson and Exeter with Manheim Township and Cumberland Valley. So we stepped up to the plate. Those were the games that were out there. We stepped up to the plate. Wilson is going to play Central Dauphin, and then they're going to play 5A teams going forward. So you tell me what it's about.
Right.
You tell me what it's about, John. Like ultimately, you know, you can say, you know, if you think you're on top of the mountain, then you better schedule the same way. So
right.
Ultimately, it's an antiquated way of thinking. It's nonsense. It's questioning who I am as a person, who I raised my son and his mother raised him to be. You know, it's silliness. It's quite honestly, it's silliness, and you know, we can put it to rest. I felt like I was going to talk to you about it on this show because it was said publicly, even though we said that was the end of it in a private conversation. So it was said again. So I'm going to end it right here. I'm going to say my piece, and then I'm going to end it right here, and we'll go from there.
Well, we are off and running here in 2019, Coach. So first, we got all those things covered. Now we really got to talk about the crew and what you guys have forward this year, all right?
Good, let's do that.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with the Gridiron after this.
What are you, superheroes?
Just 4 brothers who hate bullies and love this city. Gear up, guys.
Welcome back to the Gridiron, sponsored by the Rothman Group. I'm John Brennan with the head coach, Chad Brubaker. All right, Coach here, let's talk about this 2019 team here. We're going to see some names back from last year. Engro, he's got his receivers, Banani, he's got Scarcelli. You got guys back. Albert's going to lead that defensive front out there. Talk about some of those key returners and what you expect from these guys here in 2019.
Well, we need all-around leadership. It's kind of an interesting dichotomy. We have a lot of returning players. We have 4 of 5 offensive linemen returning, and the one that I wouldn't count as a returner started 2 games himself. So we have a lot of guys back. Nick Teets and BJ Beard are 2 guys that you didn't mention there offensively. Both those guys started throughout the Nick started throughout the year, and then by the end of the year, BJ was starting. And BJ's had a tremendous offseason, as has Nick. So we're really excited about our receiving core. We have a lot of depth at receiver. So, you know, we'll be able to keep guys fresh. Running back should be interesting. You know, Armonte Haynes has definitely stepped forward. But there are some younger guys that will push him. Andrew Yoon got some time at running back last year. And then Harry, I just call him Harry A because I can't say his last name. Harry and Jay Seth Owens are also guys that you might see in the backfield at some point as well.
I know we talked about on this show and this team, tight end was an idea you trying to get. How do you feel about that progression with?
We haven't felt good about our tight end position for a good 2 years.
Yeah, right.
And so we've had, throughout the years, we've had, we had Zamir McDowell. We started with Ty Yazian, then we had Zamir McDowell and R.J. Sheldon, and then we had Lee Albert and Quinn McKenna, and we were pretty, stout at that position for
Right.
a long, long time.
It's a game changer for you guys for a lot
Yeah,
of
we
years,
like,
too.
I personally am a big fan of the tight end, and just haven't had enough there in the past few years. But James Albert's going to jump into that position, as well as Josh Hellauer. We moved Josh Hellauer, who's really had a great offseason. He's bulked up to 190 pounds, and he's a kid that we feel can help us there as well. And then there's a couple more kids in line there that we think can help us next year. So we feel pretty good about that.
All right, on defense, this is probably more the side of the ball. You got to do a little more replacing guys, but you do have Albert back there on
Yeah.
defense. Feel like we have a whole new secondary. I feel like we're going to see this year too, right?
Well, Andrew Yoon got a couple starts, actually more than a couple at our Ram position, our strong safety position, and but he's probably going to move to free safety. But the other three positions will be new. The one thing about that, the only one really that we feel has separated himself a little bit is Nate Capers at the one corner spot. As for the other two positions, the other corner spot and the Ram, boy, this is where it's tough when you don't have anybody through spring practice, through the summer, through camp, through preseason that has separated himself. You go with experience or you go with the older kids, of course. But there are some younger guys who are pushing there,
Pushing
so
spots,
you might see a little bit of committee work at those two positions.
On linebacker and defensive line, who are we going to see there?
So linebacker, as you said, James Albert returns at Mike. Armonte Haynes is returning there as well. He played there last year.
And you're okay. It seems like we're hearing guys both sides of the ball a little bit.
But you're gonna see committees at
Okay.
those positions. But there's two other kids. J. Seth Owens is going to push there. Zach, I always call him Marinero, Zach Marinello, so it took me a second. Zach Marinello is another kid that has really improved and will push there, as well as sophomore Johnny Pergine. So there's two sophomores out of that group, and so we'll see committee-wise
and
there.
linebacker. And how about the defensive line?
Defensive line. So three of the guys are returning of the four. Ryan Colander and Blake Teresi both play offense. We feel like we have Josh Hellauer that can see some time, as well as a sophomore named Ian Harvey, who might see some time at defensive end throughout the game. DJ Francis returns as our two technique, and Donnie Nicolene is a sophomore that has emerged as the front runner for the three tech position, defensive tackle. So we don't, at certain positions, like wide receiver, we have a ton of depth. Running back, we have some depth. A lot of positions, we don't have the depth that we'd like to see. Our roster coming in is 70, like that dwindled down quickly from 80, midsummer. And then kids, who haven't been around most of the summer anyway, start falling off the map and realizing this is too hard for them or whatever. So, depth is something that we, need to continue to try to develop throughout the year.
All right, before we show our scrimmage here, let's talk about, and I feel like a dynamic you've always had is with the quarterback here. You have a returning quarterback. Talk about, from last season, this season, that relationship you created with Enger a little bit more here too. And where do you feel about him going into this season?
So Eric Hill is the quarterback's coach and does an awesome job. We're sometimes probably a little good cop, bad cop, me being
Bad cop?
the latter. Ryan played all last year with a torn meniscus. So he tore his meniscus pretty badly in the CB South game last year, like the second drive of the game. And didn't finish the CB South game, but played the rest of the year. And we didn't really, thought, he just tweaked his knee a little bit, kept, rehabbing throughout the year. And when he got to basketball, all of a sudden it blew up. Cutting on a hardwood floor is a different thing with an injury like that. And he got some swelling, and they took him in, and it turns out that's what had happened. So, first of all, that's not what we try to do. Kudos to Ryan for toughing it out and not. I mean, he needs to be honest with the training staff, but he demonstrated his toughness there. So he missed from about November. He was, had surgery. Wasn't really cleared until to really move around other than straightforward into July. But he's come back. He looks great. The thing about Ryan is he just needs to do what we ask him to do. He's going to have a tremendous season if he does that. And there's times where he tries to go a little bit beyond, and we want him to go through. He has a lot of weapons. He's a very lucky kid. As a quarterback, he's got a lot of guys.
That can help him.
3 receivers are over 6'1". The other receiver is a little shifty guy, and then, like I said, we have depth to keep those guys fresh. They all play one way. So he's got, I said to him the other day, like James Albert was open in the flat, and he made another decision. I'm like, Ryan, James Albert's 215 pounds. He's running full speed. And there's a 145, 50, 65-pound corner that would have to take him on full speed. Give him the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just take what's
right
there. And listen, as the game progresses, someone's going to come up. All right, then you take your shot. Take your shot when it presents itself. Don't try to fit something in. So he's going to have a tremendous year. He's set some records last year, and we expect a lot out of him.
All right, well, that's good stuff here. We got some highlights from the scrimmage, right? You scrimmaged Ruston last week. Let's check out the offensive highlights from Springford Ruston.
Offensive highlights are sponsored by Euro Motor Cars of Devon.
So we're in the
Yellow?
Yellow, just to make sure, because both teams were blue. So here's a slant pass to Dante Bonani. You see B.J. Beard getting up the seam there. That's where we'd say, like, in the future, like, take a look at B.J. over the top, but right there, do the right thing and get him the ball. Here he goes, his first look.
Sprinting out, yeah.
The post corner there again to Dante. Ryan did the right thing again. Right here, James Albert's running a little deep and running right into that corner. And B.J. got knocked off his route a little bit. So that was the right decision. Here's where I get on him a little bit. Right here, that running back in the flat. You got to take the running back in the flat. I know he's a sophomore, but look, he's wide open in the flat. The outside linebacker actually turned his shoulders to the inside, and it's actually a bigger play. I know it's a shorter pass, but it's a bigger play.
More space.
Here's a great job. So now the corner goes deep, and B.J. Beard on the drag. B.J. doesn't get knocked off his route, takes the right route, flattens out a little bit here, and he hits him right in stride for a nice first down.
So I've been watching a lot of the Hard Knocks here. Is the thing on the helmet so you don't touch them? No
What's
hitting?
with the quarterback?
Or you guys hit quarterbacks?
Yeah. No, we don't hit them.
No hitting quarterbacks.
Nah.
Okay.
And here's the other receiver we talked about earlier. This is an RPO
yeah.
to Nick Teets. And Nick has developed his body a little bit. He's not a tall guy, but he is tough and loves to play football. And he put his shoulder pads down there and took on a safety. And he's going to be a tough player to cover.
I question in my head thinking.
Go ahead.
Okay, so let's say you're like a running quarterback team.
Yeah.
In a scrimmage, you let the quarterback get hit a little bit, or you'd say you wouldn't do it anyway?
We did. We both had similar thoughts on this. We scrimmage Westchester Ruston and have for I don't know how many years now, and the reason why is if you only get one scrimmage, you got to get it right, and we're on the same page regarding how we treat this scrimmage, how hard we're going to go, how many plays we're going to go, and their coaching staff, their kids play the right way, and I think he feels the same way about us. So they actually lost their quarterback in a, what do you call that, like a swing rope situation where he thought the water was a little deeper and he broke his leg.
Okay.
So they don't have a lot of depth at quarterback, so no touching the quarterback.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is, let's say you're a running quarterback, quarterback runs all day.
We ran a couple times.
Just blow the whistle as soon as somebody puts a hand.
Yeah, we tagged a hit. Then the referees are aware of that. We talked to referees about that. They understand. You see in the NFL when the backup quarterback comes in, the play there's a gap there.
Yeah.
And sometimes that gap in high school can be even bigger. And so everybody wants a good quality product on the field. And we have guys in the wings, but they're probably not quite ready for prime time.
Okay.
So we take care of Ryan.
Like no red jersey. You usually see the red with the quarterback.
Well, we just didn't take that along.
Okay, all right.
We have it.
All right, let's take a look at the defensive highlights from Scrimmage. We got those too?
Yeah,
All right,
sure.
let's take a look at defense.
All right, so the other thing about Ruston that we like, and that's Nick Teets getting a little time at safety. The other thing about Ruston that we like is they play a brand of football that we don't normally see. Now that might sound weird to you, but it puts our kids in bad spots. They're not used to seeing jet motion. They're not used to seeing wing T principles. There's James Albert making a nice solid tackle there.
Filling the hole.
Filling the hole. And so they don't normally see that. So it makes them think a little bit. I mean, we literally spend 15 minutes saying, this is what they're going to do, go play football. So it's not a typical game plan situation. All right, there's that jet. And we had some trouble with it actually on Saturday. We figured it out by the end. You see Blake Teresi here fighting across the face and making a tackle there. And again, these wing T things where they're doing, that's Blake Teresi.
It looked like they had some lead blockers in this play here too.
They did, and Blake gets across. You see him playing defensive end there. He fights across the face,
Gets his
makes
hand.
a tackle.
How'd you feel with the enthusiasm? I know enthusiasm has always been a thing you'd like to see early in the year from the kids.
Yeah. I would say, it was first scrimmage like. I mean, I'll tell you this, it was hot.
Yeah.
It was hot on that turf. And so it wasn't the easiest thing in the world. There you see the sophomore J. Seth Owens coming from the split side there and blitzing and causing a little chaos there in the backfield. And here's Johnny Pergine, who was also playing outside backer and comes up there, avoids a block. I'm not sure how they didn't block two guys. He ran past two guys.
You usually don't see 51 carry the ball a lot either there, too.
Well, that's the one thing I would say is their tight end was wearing like 57, and a couple times we declared the strength to the wrong side because of it. So that's tough. Like, I don't know why they have different. We just give our kids the practice.
Whatever
their number is a game. So.
All right, Coach, good stuff right there. We got show's still going.
Show's going.
Hopefully they're still watching.
Yeah.
We got one more segment, all right?
Hey, you never know. Might be more fireworks next segment.
Who knows? You got to stay tuned. Stay tuned through this commercial break, and we'll preview the game with CB South.
Hi, I'm Peter. And there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in. Help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
Welcome back to the Gridiron, sponsored by the Rothman Group. I'm your host, John Brennan, with the head coach, Chad Brubaker. All right, Coach, we're already here, week one. We're not even in school. There's no kids even here.
Well, there are today. They're doing the orientation.
They're doing the tours.
Self-guided.
But I guess there's no classes aren't in session yet.
That's true.
And we still got to, we're playing a game here Friday night. So you got to make sure the public knows. Does the student body know that we got a game Friday night?
Well,
the student section, right?
I would hope so.
Okay. So we got to get the crew out here for Friday night for the game, right? That's first off.
SF Gameware is one of the best student section Twitters around. We didn't talk about something really important, actually. We have migrated. We have migrated.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So the Patriot Chevrolet Spring Ford football website is now www.spring-fordfootball.net.
Wow.
.net.
No Moby anymore.
No Moby anymore.
It's like a real, I feel like it's a real thing now, too. Like Moby, now net. It's net.
We were our own domain, but
okay.
now we're on the net.
On the net.
.net.
Netscape Navigator? Is that
No, that's not the same thing.
that's old thing. That's an old thing.
That's not the same thing.
All right. So
but our Twitter account's the same.
Same.
Our Facebook account is the same. A couple things coming up. Pig roast.
When's that, Saturday?
Saturday, September 19th, if my memory serves. $20. Now, listen, you will not get. First of all, I need to see you and your wife there. It's for over 21, so get a babysitter.
All right.
You will never eat better for
Than
$20 in your entire life.
Okay.
Pig, chicken, corn on the cob. You know,
I'm a big corn on the cob guy too. I love it.
Baked beans, all the fixings.
All right.
You know it. Just tremendous food.
Real quick sharing right here.
$20.
You shared.
VFW.
I went to Ireland this summer.
Nice.
Baked bean in the for their breakfast, like on
It's
toast.
a full Irish.
Yeah, I was like, nah.
And a tomato and mushrooms.
Yeah, I wasn't fit. Yeah. Just give me a cup of coffee. That was the breakfast.
Yeah, but no. No offense to all our Irish listeners.
Yeah, I know they're watching over there.
Yeah, but the coffee is terrible. Just like they say the tea is terrible here.
See, I thought I got
An
into
Americano?
I got lattes over there.
Oh, that was smart. That was smart. See, my mistake,
fantastic.
and I didn't figure
I
it
did
out
the
the whole time.
Americano coffee.
Yeah, and it was just water.
Latte all day long.
I mean, someone rolled out with that stuff. What's that stuff? Like the instant stuff that you put in and like
Folgers.
stir it? No, not Folgers. Like anyway.
And first off, the other thing I noticed, we went to it's like a Wawa, whatever they have. There's so much candy. Oh my God, there's so much candy is in the stores over there.
How about this?
I'm listening.
So let's go back to the full Irish.
Okay.
Which white sausage or white blood pudding or
No, I said coffee. I'll just do coffee. No, coffee.
Come on, man. You
No,
have
I
to at least try it.
I'm not a big adventurous guy. I think it's like a black pudding thing. I thought.
Black pudding,
Yeah.
red pudding, white pudding.
Yeah, black pudding. I think I did
that's
try
it.
at one point during this endeavor.
That's good.
Yeah, it's all right.
Sausage.
Yeah, it's whatever. All right, so again, we're off topic there, like always. CB South coming in. Let's talk about the Titans. CB South, what do you got from them?
Well, I think last year they overlooked us a little bit. We won last year 21-0, and we went down there and we blocked a punt for a touchdown. We had a pick six for a touchdown, and we only scored one touchdown. Now, like I said, we had to move Dante Bonani to quarterback as our emergency quarterback, and not only did we lose him as a wide receiver, but ultimately
How much are you doing right? How much of the playbook you got right?
Yeah, I mean, Dante knows it because he knows it, but ultimately, we were struggling, like to put successive plays together. And they knew, like, he wasn't going to throw too much. So we were just letting him chuck it up and just to hopefully loosen it up. But we struggled a little bit, especially to run the ball. But we're different too this year. You know, as the year went on, we were completely different. And defensively, we played an excellent game last year. We shut them out, and really limited what they could do. Now, I will say this: opening game last year, they dropped a couple passes. They missed it, threw a couple high.
That opening week is
we were fortunate.
That opening week's such a
it is
crap shot.
It really is. It really is. It's not like any other sport right now with the one scrimmage. So I still would love to see the PIAA allow you to bring in another team for practice, like they do in the NFL sometimes.
Like a training camp thing.
And maybe even there must be referees there.
Something or other, yeah.
Somebody independent or whatever.
Right.
Where you could, so that first week you have HEDAC, and then maybe on Tuesday, and the rules still apply. You wouldn't be taking kids to the ground or anything like that. But those kids would have to compete. Like, it's not just me against you where you're my buddy and, we have some kind of
some sort of
we have
agreement,
some kind of pact.
Yeah.
And new people, and you want to prove yourself and like something like that.
Okay. Well, we got a long season here. We can talk about it all season long.
Yeah.
We got highlights of the CB South.
We do.
We got highlights.
Yeah, they scrimmaged. Ready?
I'm ready.
Not Wayne Valley, who we played. Wayne Hills, who I think is a neighboring school in Wayne, New Jersey.
In New Jersey?
Yeah.
They went to New Jersey?
No, they came to CB South.
All right, well, we got footage. We got them on film.
We got it.
All right, let's see CB South on offense here.
So CB South is actually on defense.
On defense, yeah, that's fine. Let's keep it rolling here.
And I don't know what that was a sack. That was a early whistle sack. I should have blew this up a little bit. It's tough to see.
It's them running like a little RPO. It looks like that.
Yeah, they were trying. Wayne Hills looked pretty darn good. No, not in that play, but they looked like they had it going on.
They look like they're in full uniform here,
Well,
too.
they are. It's a scrimmage.
No, I mean, like, that's their uniform.
Not a good point. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I know it's full uniform.
So there you
Come
see
on.
a nice timed blitz by CB South.
And
So
you guys do some
little quick
RPO
there,
stuff,
but-
so they're obviously going to be prepared for that.
Sure. I mean, they have us from last year. Although the only thing from last
really
year
help you.
is it was Bonani's show, and we really limited what we were doing. So who knows if they have other film on us?
And that's part. Everybody that's playing this week in PWA had to exchange their scrimmage film. Essentially, is that?
Well, it's not a requirement.
Oh, you don't.
I mean, it really isn't. But everybody's like, everybody. It's like a gentleman's agreement. Like, hey, why send guys out when you can just, exchange it on huddle in 2 seconds flat.
Okay.
So.
Let's see him on offense now.
All right, let's see that. Not afraid to spread it around. Not afraid to spread around. And our quarterback can move a little bit.
He's got the red jersey on.
He's got the red jersey, so don't hit him. You see here they are empty, completely empty. Now the quarterback throws underneath here, and Wayne Hills makes the play. But you see,
if he misses there,
now
he's got
this is the
space.
very next play, and so they go from completely empty to
tight.
double wing, or basically double twins tight, and hand the ball off and get a nice play. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to be really aware of, is them switching formations.
Now that's almost not even shifting personnel. It's just taking
Right,
those
that's
guys.
what they did, yeah.
Okay.
So they ran jet, just like we had a little trouble with against Ruston on Saturday. So it's something we're really going to have to work on in camp. Again, here they roll out. And
that's a tough throw there, too.
Tough throw, and I think he caught that. So, they're going to present. They're going to be much better than they were last year. They have a big roster, a much bigger roster than we do. So concerns about the opening game and keeping people rested.
Be hot too.
We're taking kind of a new approach, and I know you're always interested as a coach yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're interested. Like, we are no longer conditioning after practice, and we've gotten away from it a little bit in the past few years, but now we're done with it. And all of our conditioning is game situation conditioning. So in practice, we're trying to amp it up so that the kids have to run in practice.
So at the end of practice, you're not just running lines and they're
No, we're not running gassers, whatever.
Yeah.
And so we're really changing some of the things that we do to update, to try to emulate current research and try to get our guys, as close to 100% on a Friday night as we can.
Yeah, I always like the idea of emulating game as much as you can out there to represent that type of, well, okay, how do I handle this situation? You know what I mean?
And it makes so much sense because you played multiple sports in high school, and basketball is a much more cardio game than baseball.
Yep.
But when I would get to baseball season, I'd have to get acclimated to 90 feet
right,
or
running the
180
double,
feet.
right, yeah.
Because I could run as many, full court in basketball as I wanted. It's just different.
Yeah.
And it's
like a pace to how you want to run the double versus
sure. It's
running
all
up
different.
and down
So
the court. Yeah.
conditioning was season to season. I always found that, and there's a lot of research now. Like the track guys are really trying to emphasize speed, and how can you be at your best if you run gassers on a Wednesday on a Friday night? Like that, especially for linemen guys who are running around, with 240, 250 or more
all those
pounds.
pads on all night too, yeah.
Correct. So we're trying to do some, and who knows? I hope it works. In theory, it works well, right?
We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
All right, Coach. Well, hey, show one in the books here. We'll have to go back through the records here. Now, how many number episodes here we actually have
Look
on
up
the books?
in the archive.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of. It's got to be on the.
And next
net,
week
too.
we'll come with some pictures of the new weight room.
Oh yeah, sounds good. You'll bring that. You got
I'll do that for you.
All right, Coach. Well, best of luck to you and the crew on
right.
Friday night.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks for tuning in this week's edition of the Gridiron. Make sure you tune in next week as we recap the game with CB South and preview the game with Harry S. Truman. For the head coach, Chad Brubaker, I'm John Brennan. See you next time on the Gridiron.